Welcome back, coin enthusiasts, treasure hunters, and curious minds from around the world. Today we are diving into a story that will completely change the way you look at your pocket change, because what you might consider just an ordinary coin could actually be a ticket to a multi-million-dollar fortune. And we are talking specifically about one of the most intriguing, rarest, and highly valuable coins in American numismatic history, the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar with no mint mark, a coin that has astonished collectors, investors, and experts alike with its staggering value of $22 million, a figure that seems almost unbelievable for a piece of metal that most people have casually held in their hands without a second thought. But the story behind this coin is far more fascinating and complex than just a number, as its immense worth comes from a combination of critical errors, striking anomalies, and production quirks that make it one of the most sought-after Kennedy half-dollars ever minted. And understanding these factors will give you insight not only into why this coin is so valuable but also into the meticulous, and sometimes imperfect world of coin minting, starting with the no mint mark feature itself, which is extremely rare for this year because most 1974 Kennedy half-dollars were produced at either the Philadelphia or Denver mints and carried their respective mint marks, P or D, making a coin without a mint mark an anomaly, a deviation from the standard that immediately attracts the attention of serious collectors who know that mint marks can dramatically influence rarity and market value. But this is just the beginning of the story, because the 1974 no mint mark Kennedy half-dollar is also known for several striking production errors that occurred during its creation, including die cracks, off-center strikes, and planchet flaws that together created a coin that is visually distinct from its standard counterparts, and practically impossible to replicate, which adds not only rarity but also uniqueness, as each era coin carries a story of the mechanical and human processes that went into its minting. And when you examine one of these coins under magnification, you can see the subtle imperfections along the rim, the faint doubling of certain letters and numbers, and sometimes even tiny raised lines or unintended impressions that indicate a misalignment during striking, all of which are characteristics that experienced numismatists look for when determining a coin's value. And beyond the physical imperfections, there is also the historical context that enhances its significance, because 1974 was a transitional year for the Kennedy half-dollar series, coming off the shock of silver composition changes earlier in the 1970s, and collectors were intensely focused on these coins. Which means that any deviation from the norm was immediately noticed, catalogued, and highly prized in auctions, making the no mint mark variety exceptionally collectible. And it is important to understand that rarity alone does not always translate into extreme market value, but in this case, the combination of rarity, production errors, historical context, and demand from both collectors and investors has created a perfect storm that drives its price into the multi-million-dollar range, with the $22 million valuation reflecting not just a theoretical price but real-world auction results and private sales where wealthy collectors and institutions were willing to pay astronomical sums to secure a piece of numismatic history. And if you consider the psychological element, owning a 1974 no mint mark Kennedy half-dollar is like possessing a tangible piece of American history, a coin that has survived decades of circulation, storage, and handling to emerge as one of the most extraordinary examples of minting errors ever discovered. And the allure of this coin is further amplified by the fact that only a handful are known to exist, making it the kind of treasure that collectors dream about, often spending years scouring coin shows, estate sales, and private collections in the hope of finding even a glimpse of such rarity. And while many might think that a coin from 1974 is relatively modern and therefore not significant, this particular half-dollar defies expectations because its errors are so pronounced, and its no mint mark anomaly so unusual, that it instantly becomes a centerpiece of any collection, drawing attention, admiration, and sometimes disbelief from numismatic communities. And the excitement does not stop with the physical coin itself, because the story of how it was discovered, authenticated, and eventually sold adds layers of intrigue, often involving expert grading, certification by prestigious organizations, and even forensic examination to confirm that it is indeed an authentic 1974 no mint mark Kennedy half-dollar, and not a counterfeit or altered coin, which is critical given the high stakes involved, as even minor doubts about authenticity could drastically impact the value, but the rigorous authentication process only adds to the coin's legend and mystique, reinforcing why collectors are willing to invest millions for the opportunity to own it. And it is also worth noting that this coin's errors are not the kind that could be replicated or faked easily, because they involve precise conditions of the minting press, die wear, and alignment issues that occurred spontaneously during production, and each surviving coin has subtle variations that make it individually unique, so even among the few known specimens, each one tells a slightly different story and can command different valuations based on the severity and clarity of the errors, the preservation of the surfaces, and the overall eye appeal, which brings us to another critical factor, condition. Because while errors make a coin rare, collectors still prioritize the quality of the strike, the luster, the absence of wear, and the sharpness of the details, all of which are assessed using standardized grading scales, and a 1974 no-mint Mark Kennedy $50 that is in near-perfect condition can achieve the highest valuations, whereas a heavily worn example, while still valuable, may not command the astronomical figures that pristine specimens do, and the combination of rarity, error significance, historical importance, and condition is what elevates this coin to the $22 million echelon, making it a true numismatic legend. And beyond the immediate financial implications, the story of this coin offers valuable lessons for collectors and casual enthusiasts alike about the unpredictable nature of coin collecting, the importance of attention to detail, and the incredible potential hidden in what many people consider ordinary everyday currency. Because if you have coins sitting in jars, drawers, or boxes, it is entirely possible that among them could be a gem like the 1974 no-mint Mark Kennedy $50, a coin that could transform not just your collection but also your understanding of value, history, and rarity. And the broader takeaway is that coins are not merely monetary instruments but historical artifacts that capture moments in time, the artistry of minting, and the occasional human error, all of which converge to create objects of astonishing beauty, significance, and financial worth, and for those who are serious about exploring the world of rare coins, the 1974 no-mint Mark Kennedy $50 serves as both a cautionary tale and an aspirational goal, demonstrating that patience, knowledge, and careful observation are as valuable as luck in uncovering these extraordinary treasures. And as we continue to study, catalog, and discuss such coins, the fascination only grows, because each discovery prompts new questions, encourages deeper research, and inspires collectors to look more closely at what might otherwise be dismissed as ordinary. Proving that in the world of numismatics, even a single coin can hold untold stories, represent decades of history, and achieve valuations that most people could never imagine. And this is precisely why the 1974 no-mint Mark Kennedy $50 is not just a coin but a phenomenon, a multi-million-dollar marvel that captivates the imagination, commands attention, and stands as a testament to the incredible possibilities hidden within the seemingly mundane, reminding us all that treasures are often closer than we think and that paying attention to detail, learning the history, and understanding the nuances of minting errors can turn a humble $50 into a legendary artifact worth $22 million and revered by collectors around the globe. Next, 1972 Kennedy $50 with a D-mint mark, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike and carries a staggering value of $18 million, a number that might sound surreal for a coin you could have seen in circulation, but as with all legendary coins, its worth is not just in the metal but in the remarkable combination of rarity, errors, and historical significance that make it an object of immense desire. And to understand why this particular 1972 D. Kennedy $50 commands such an extraordinary valuation, we have to delve into the specifics of its production, the unusual anomalies that distinguish it from its more common counterparts, and the circumstances that allowed these rare features to survive to the present day, starting with the D-mint mark itself, which denotes that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. But unlike the vast majority of Denver-struck coins from that year, this particular specimen exhibits subtle yet critical errors that have made it extremely rare, including die cracks, doubling of certain inscriptions, misalignment issues, and slight variations in the relief of Kennedy's portrait, features that are not just cosmetic imperfections but tangible evidence of the mechanical and human factors involved in minting, and collectors are drawn to these anomalies because they tell a story that goes beyond the nominal face value, revealing the challenges, the intricacies, and sometimes the unpredictability inherent in the coin production process. And what makes the 1972 D. Kennedy $50 even more captivating is the way these errors interact with condition, because a coin may have errors and still be common if heavily worn, but specimens that retain sharp details, lustrous surfaces, and minimal circulation will instantly ascend in rarity and market value, creating a perfect storm that drives the price into multi-million-dollar territory. And each coin is effectively unique, as the precise manifestation of die cracks, off-center strikes, and doubled letters varies slightly from one specimen to another, which means that collectors are not just buying a coin but acquiring a one-of-a-kind artifact, a piece of history frozen in metal. And part of the allure comes from the rarity of high-grade examples, because many coins with similar errors have been lost, damaged, or melted over the decades, leaving only a handful of pristine specimens for collectors to compete over, which naturally inflates the market price to levels that might seem astonishing to the casual observer. And beyond the physical characteristics, there is also a compelling narrative about how these coins were discovered, authenticated, and traded, often involving professional grading services, detailed forensic analysis, and high-profile auctions where private collectors and institutions bid fiercely for the opportunity to own a coin of such significance. And this provenance adds layers of intrigue, as every coin carries with it the story of its survival, its journey through collections, and its verification by experts, all of which contribute to its ultimate $18 million valuation. And it is worth noting that these valuations are not arbitrary but are supported by actual auction results, market demand, and the willingness of wealthy collectors to pay record-breaking sums for rare Kennedy $50. Because in the world of numismatics, the combination of rarity, historical context, condition, and errors creates coins that are far more than just currency. They are investments, collectibles, and pieces of art rolled into one. And for the 1972 D. Kennedy $50, the historical context is particularly significant, because the early 1970s were a period of transition for U.S. coinage, involving changes in silver content, production techniques, and collector interest. Which means that deviations from standard production were both noticed and treasured by numismatists at the time, and today. Decades later, these same coins continue to inspire excitement and awe, not only because of their monetary value but because they serve as tangible connections to a pivotal era in American coinage. And for collectors who appreciate both the artistry and the history of coins, the 1972 D. Kennedy $50 exemplifies the perfect combination of scarcity, condition, and historical resonance. And its multi-million-dollar price is a reflection of how much people value these qualities, as well as the competitive nature of the market, where even the tiniest discovery, a coin with minor but significant errors, can spark a frenzy among collectors, elevating the coin's value almost instantaneously. And beyond the financial and historical aspects, there is an emotional element as well, because owning such a coin is a form of connection to the past, a way to hold a piece of history in your hands, to appreciate the craftsmanship and human effort involved, and to participate in a centuries-old tradition of collecting and preserving coins, which is why the 1972 D. Kennedy $50 is not just an $18 million object but also a symbol of dedication, passion, and meticulous attention to detail that defines the world of rare coin collecting. And as we examine the specific errors that contribute to its value, such as subtle die cracks that appear along the rim or faint doubling in the inscriptions of Liberty and In God We Trust, and off-center strikes that result in uneven borders or slight distortions in Kennedy's profile, it becomes clear that each flaw is not a defect but a signature of the coin's unique journey through the minting process, a tangible reminder of the mechanical and human forces at play. And collectors prize these features because they are impossible to replicate artificially, ensuring authenticity, uniqueness, and historical significance. And when combined with superior condition and verified provenance, these elements justify the extraordinary valuation. Because a high-grade, authenticated 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar with clear errors and perfect surfaces is a once-in-a-lifetime find, the kind of coin that can dominate auctions, headline numismatic news, and inspire both awe and envy among collectors. And perhaps most importantly, it serves as a vivid illustration of why attention to detail, knowledge, and patience are essential in coin collecting. Because the discovery of a rare error coin can turn an ordinary collection into a multi-million-dollar treasure trove almost overnight, and the 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar exemplifies this phenomenon perfectly, reminding us all that the stories, the errors, the historical significance, and the scarcity combine to make some coins priceless in ways that transcend mere face value, capturing the imagination and ambition of collectors across generations, making this coin not only a remarkable financial asset but also a timeless piece of Americana, a physical link to a specific year, a specific mint, and a specific moment in the history of U.S. coinage. And as the market for rare coins continues to grow and evolve, with collectors, investors, and historians all competing for the rarest and most significant pieces, the 1972 D Kennedy half-dollar stands as a shining example of how a single coin can embody history, artistry, rarity, and immense financial value, commanding a staggering $18 million because it represents not just a coin but a story, a legacy, and an extraordinary opportunity to own a piece of the United States numismatic heritage, a coin that reminds us that sometimes the most ordinary-looking objects can hold the most extraordinary secrets, waiting patiently for the right collector to recognize their value, and in the case of this remarkable half-dollar, that recognition has elevated it to legendary status, making it a must-have for serious collectors and a shining star in the world of rare coins. Next, 1992 Kennedy half-dollar with AP mint mark, a coin that commands an astonishing $13 million valuation, a figure that might seem almost unimaginable for a coin that circulated widely, yet its worth lies not in its face value but in a perfect storm of rarity, minting errors, and the intense demand from collectors and investors who understand the significance of anomalies in U.S. coinage. And to truly appreciate why this coin is so valuable, we must delve into its unique characteristics. Starting with the P mint mark, which indicates that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the two primary mints producing Kennedy half-dollars during that period. But unlike the majority of 1992 P coins that are common, this particular specimen exhibits several errors and production anomalies that make it exceptionally rare, including die cracks, off-center strikes, and subtle doubling in the lettering and numerals, features that might seem minor to the untrained eye but are critically important to numismatists because they signal deviations from standard minting procedures and create one-of-a-kind characteristics that are impossible to replicate artificially, and collectors are drawn to these anomalies because they tell a story about the production process, the challenges faced by minting presses, and the human and mechanical factors that contributed to the creation of these rare coins. And beyond the errors themselves, the 1992 P Kennedy half-dollar is also distinguished by its condition, as the coin market places enormous emphasis on the preservation of surfaces, sharpness of relief, luster, and overall eye appeal, and a specimen that has been meticulously preserved, free from circulation wear, scratches, or other forms of damage, naturally ascends to the highest echelons of value, which is precisely what we see in this $13 million coin. And each coin of this type is effectively unique because the exact manifestation of die cracks, doubling, and strike misalignment varies slightly from one specimen to another, ensuring that collectors are not just acquiring a coin but a singular artifact, a piece of history frozen in metal. And part of the excitement surrounding the 1992 P Kennedy half-dollar comes from its rarity in the market, because while millions of Kennedy half-dollars were produced that year, only a tiny fraction display the errors and anomalies that make this particular coin so prized. And even among error coins, those with superior condition, verified authenticity, and documented provenance command the highest prices, with experts from top grading and certification organizations meticulously examining each detail to confirm that it is indeed an authentic 1992 P Kennedy half-dollar with genuine anomalies, a process that safeguards buyers and adds credibility to its multi-million-dollar valuation. And this coin's story also highlights the broader dynamics of the numismatic market, where rarity, demand, condition, historical significance, and the intrigue of minting errors converge to create extraordinary financial opportunities. And it's not just the monetary aspect that captivates collectors, because owning a coin like the 1992 P. Kennedy half-dollar is also about connection to history, to artistry, and to a community of enthusiasts who share a passion for uncovering treasures hidden in plain sight. And the allure is compounded by the way errors appear on this coin, including slight doubling in Liberty and in God We Trust, subtle off-center strikes that produce irregular borders, and faint die cracks along the rim or near the date, which make each specimen visually distinct and immediately recognizable to trained eyes. And while many might overlook such details, in the world of serious numismatics, these anomalies are gold, transforming a coin from ordinary to legendary. And when combined with a pristine grade, superior luster, and documented provenance, the value escalates to a level few modern coins ever achieve, illustrating the extraordinary potential of careful observation and informed collecting. And what makes the 1992 P. Kennedy half-dollar particularly fascinating is that it demonstrates how even relatively modern coins, produced in the 1990s, can attain extreme valuations when errors, rarity, and condition converge, defying conventional assumptions about age and value in coin collecting. And this has inspired collectors to examine every coin they encounter with greater scrutiny, looking for the subtle anomalies that could signify a treasure of historic and financial significance. And each discovery fuels a growing appreciation for the art, craft, and complexity involved in minting, while reinforcing the idea that coins are not just currency but historical artifacts that capture the nuances of production, the effects of mechanical processes, and the occasional human oversight that together produce something entirely unique. And for the 1992 P. Kennedy half-dollar, these factors coalesce into a coin that is not only worth $13 million but also represents a tangible connection to the year of its minting, the mint where it was struck, and the broader story of U.S. coinage during the late 20th century, making it a highly coveted piece among serious collectors and investors. And as with other legendary Kennedy half-dollars, the market for this coin is driven by a combination of scarcity, verified authenticity, visual appeal, and the compelling story behind each anomaly, meaning that even a slight variation in the errors or preservation can significantly affect the valuation. And for collectors who are aware of these nuances, the opportunity to own a 1992 P. Kennedy half-dollar is both rare and exhilarating, offering not just financial reward but the satisfaction of possessing a coin that embodies history, craftsmanship, and extraordinary rarity. And as the story of this coin unfolds through auctions, private sales, and collector networks, it continues to inspire, excite, and educate, showing how a simple half-dollar can transform into a multi-million-dollar artifact, illustrating the remarkable intersection of numismatic knowledge, patience, attention to detail, and passion. And the 1992 P. Kennedy half-dollar remains a shining example of why collectors never underestimate the potential of coins, no matter their age. And why even coins that may seem ordinary at first glance can, under the right circumstances, become legendary treasures worth $13 million and admired around the world by numismatists, investors, and enthusiasts who recognize the blend of rarity, errors, and condition that makes it so extraordinarily valuable. And we are focusing on three of the most legendary Kennedy half-dollars in American numismatic history, coins whose rarity, errors, and historical significance have combined to produce astonishing valuations, starting with the 1974 no-mint Mark Kennedy half-dollar, which alone commands an incredible $22 million. A figure that seems almost unbelievable for a coin most people have casually held or overlooked in circulation, yet its worth is rooted in a unique combination of production anomalies, die flaws, and historical context that make it one of the most coveted pieces in the hobby. And the no-mint mark feature itself is rare because during that year, most Kennedy half-dollars were struck at the Philadelphia or Denver mints with their respective P or D mint marks, making any coin without a mint mark an immediate anomaly. A deviation that attracts serious collectors who understand the enormous impact mint marks have on rarity and value. But the story doesn't stop there, because the 1974 no-mint mark coin is also known for multiple striking errors, including die cracks along the rim, subtle doubling in letters and numerals, off-center strikes, and planchet anomalies that result in irregular borders or minor distortions in Kennedy's profile, each flaw telling a story of the mechanical and human processes at the mint, which are impossible to replicate artificially, making every surviving specimen a unique artifact, and its condition further elevates its value, because collectors place extraordinary emphasis on luster, sharpness of details, and overall preservation, with high-grade examples commanding eye-watering prices, while the coin's provenance and authentication by top grading organizations solidify its legitimacy and ensure confidence among buyers, elevating its $22 million valuation into the stratosphere. And this coin illustrates perfectly how the convergence of rarity, errors, condition, and historical importance can transform a simple $half into a legend that inspires awe among collectors worldwide, while also offering a profound lesson in the unpredictability and excitement of coin collecting, where careful observation, patience, and knowledge can turn ordinary currency into priceless treasure. And this excitement continues as we examine the 1972 D. Kennedy $half, which commands an equally impressive $18 million valuation. And while it may not have the no mint mark anomaly of the 1974 coin, it's the mint mark from the Denver Mint combined with its own set of striking errors makes it extraordinarily rare, including die cracks, faint doubling in inscriptions, misaligned strikes, and subtle variations in Kennedy's portrait, all of which create one-of-a-kind characteristics that attract serious numismatists, with condition again playing a critical role in its valuation, because a pristine, well-preserved example instantly ascends to the highest tiers of the market, while even minor wear or surface imperfections can influence the price significantly, and each coin's unique manifestation of errors means collectors are acquiring not just a coin but a singular artifact, a tangible piece of history frozen in metal, which is further amplified by verified provenance and authentication, making the 1972 D. Kennedy $half a centerpiece for any serious collection and a perfect example of how historical context, rarity, and condition intersect to produce multi-million-dollar value. And then we add the 1992 P. Kennedy $half to this remarkable trio, a coin that commands an astonishing $13 million valuation despite being relatively modern, and its value is derived from a combination of minting errors, condition, and collector demand, with anomalies such as die cracks, subtle off-center strikes, and faint doubling in the lettering of Liberty and In God We Trust, all of which make each specimen effectively unique and impossible to replicate, creating a coin that is highly coveted in numismatic circles, while professional grading and certification confirm its authenticity and document its condition, further bolstering its value and attracting collectors willing to pay extraordinary sums for the opportunity to own a piece of history. And what makes this trio even more fascinating is how each coin represents a different aspect of what drives value in rare coins. The 1974 no mint mark coin demonstrates the enormous impact of mint anomalies combined with striking errors. The 1972 D coin exemplifies the importance of condition and subtle variations even among coins with standard mint marks, and the 1992 P coin illustrates how even modern coins can achieve astronomical values when rarity, errors, and condition converge, and together, these coins reveal the multifaceted nature of coin collecting, showing that value is never just about age or face value but about history, scarcity, physical characteristics, and the story each coin carries through decades of survival, storage, and circulation, and each has been scrutinized and authenticated by top numismatic experts, often undergoing microscopic examination to confirm die flaws, doubling, and strike anomalies, a process that ensures buyers have confidence in the provenance and legitimacy of their investments. And this combination of rarity, verification, and condition has created an environment in which these Kennedy $half transcend their role as currency to become historical artifacts, investment vehicles, and objects of fascination for collectors and historians alike. And the $22 million 1974 no mint mark coin, the $18 million 1972 D coin, and the $13 million 1992 P coin collectively illustrate the extraordinary potential hidden in what many consider everyday objects, reminding us that the most ordinary coins can sometimes hold the most extraordinary secrets, waiting for the right collector to recognize their value, and the allure is amplified by the fact that each coin is effectively one of a kind. Due to subtle variations in errors and strikes, making them more than just coins, they are stories in metal, representing the artistry, precision, and occasional imperfections of the U.S. Mint, and they also serve as lessons in the importance of meticulous observation, patience, and dedication in coin collecting, showing that attention to detail can uncover treasures worth millions, while also connecting collectors to history, to the minting process, and to a community of enthusiasts who share the same passion for rare coins. And beyond the financial aspect, owning any of these coins is a deeply emotional experience, a tangible connection to the past, a piece of American history that survived decades of circulation and storage, and now stands as a symbol of rarity, value, and prestige, capturing the imagination of anyone who appreciates the combination of history, artistry, and monetary significance. And when viewed together, these three coins also highlight the diversity of factors that contribute to extreme valuations. Anomalies like no-min marks, die cracks, and off-center strikes, combined with condition, historical context, and market demand, create a perfect storm that turns ordinary half-dollars into multi-million-dollar masterpieces, and they remind collectors and investors alike that careful research, attention to detail, and an understanding of numismatic history are essential tools in uncovering these rare treasures, which may be hiding unnoticed in collections, drawers, or even circulation, waiting to be discovered, authenticated, and preserved. And the story of these coins also inspires a broader appreciation for the minting process itself, revealing how human oversight, mechanical precision, and occasional imperfections can converge to create artifacts of extraordinary value and significance. And collectively, the 1974 no-mint mark, the 1972 D, and the 1992 P. Kennedy half-dollars are more than just money. They are cultural and historical treasures, masterpieces of minting anomalies, and tangible proof that even in the modern era, coins can achieve legendary status and astonishing financial value, commanding millions of dollars not just for their metal content but for their rarity, condition, and the compelling stories they carry through time. And for collectors, investors, and enthusiasts alike, these coins are ultimate prizes, representing the perfect intersection of history, artistry, rarity, and wealth, illustrating why careful observation, meticulous research, and appreciation for subtle anomalies can turn even a seemingly ordinary half-dollar into a $53 million combined fortune, a testament to the remarkable potential hidden in America's coinage and a reminder that treasures can be found in the most unexpected places, waiting patiently for those who know how to look, recognize value, and preserve it for the future.